Okay, this lesson is over order of operations. Now, we know order of operations is simplifying an expression using a specific order. And that order is represented by like what we call an acronym, letters that stand for words or what we're supposed to do. And the acronym that we seem to all know is PEMDAS. So I'm going to fill that in these boxes here, PEMDAS. Now, PEMDAS, okay, again, represents an order in which we're supposed to simplify an expression to solve it down to an answer, where P stands for parentheses and grouping symbols. Okay, now these parentheses or grouping symbols, okay, parentheses are straightforward. Those are the curved ones. But what other grouping symbols do we have? We have brackets, we have braces, and we have absolute value. So we have, okay, parentheses, we have braces, and we have brackets, and then it could even be absolute value. And what we do is we start with the widest set, and then we start looking more inside to see which grouping symbols are like the closest together, and that would usually be like the innermost set of parentheses, and we start there, and then we would work our way out to the farthest reaching grouping symbols when it comes to that. So what we're looking at is for parentheses. Now, sometimes in math, parentheses can be multiplication, and that's pretty straightforward, but other times parentheses have an arrangement of variables or numbers inside the parentheses, and when we have parentheses like that, means do what's inside the parentheses first, and then if there's anything outside the parentheses, do that next. So it's also saying like, yeah, do the parentheses, but do what's inside of the parentheses if you can. E stands for exponents. Okay, we would need to simplify any exponents if they are there, and sometimes we can do like parentheses and exponents in the same like line work that we are doing, as long as they don't affect each other. M and D in PEMDAS stands for multiplication and division. Now, people always think that this means that multiplication is more special than division. It actually is not. They are equal. Okay, one's not more powerful than the next. It's just whichever one comes first as we are working from left to right, the way we read. Okay? And that is the same way that we work math. So it's whichever comes first from left to right. So a lot of times there's like an arrow above it. And it's the same thing when it comes to the AS part of PEMDAS. This stands for doing any addition or subtraction. That would come next. Again, this does not mean that addition is more powerful than subtraction. When you're down to only addition and subtraction left in an expression, you're doing whichever of these two that come first, from left to right. Okay, if subtraction is before addition, you're going to do the subtraction first. And that's what some people, I think when they're little, their teachers didn't stress, that it's a matter of who comes first as you move left to right. So we're going to work these problems kind of line by line, looking for which operations need to be done first. I'm going to kind of highlight that, and we work it down until we're through. So if you're looking at number 13, we have 7 plus 54 divided by 3 times 2. When I'm looking at this problem, I'm working through PEMDAS in my head, and I'm looking first for parentheses. Now this one's kind of tricky. I don't love it as being our first example. It feels like that we have parentheses here at 3 times 2, okay, that we need to do first, but you have to think about what these parentheses mean. It's not a grouping. There's nothing inside of it except for just a regular 2. So there's nothing inside of here. What these parentheses are standing for, that's just multiplication. So they're different parentheses than we would see in other problems. This problem could also be thought of 7 plus 54 divided by 3 times 2. I think that should be a better representation of what this problem should be. If you're thinking of it like that, which is how we are supposed to think of this problem, we actually do not have any parentheses when we're checking off our PEMDAS. And because those, again, it just meant multiplication. We do not have any exponents. So now we are on to MD, which is multiplication and division, as we work from left to right. So I have 7 plus 54. Okay, I have multiplication and division in this problem. I cannot do any addition yet. And then I have 54 divided by 3 right here. And that is my first step I need to do. Multiplication does not get done first. It's not more special. It does need to be the division because it came first as we moved from left to right. So let's write down that. We have 7 plus 54 divided by 3 is 18. And then we're multiplying that by 2. Now notice I said times, so I'm realizing that right here multiplication still comes before addition. So I'm not ready to add yet. I need to hold off just a little bit so I can get the right answer. I cannot do 7 plus 18 because first I have to multiply 18 times 2, which is 36. So now this is the time that I can do my addition because they're the only two things left. Okay, and 7 plus 36 is 43. Okay, now that problem is done. And we know we got it right because we did the correct order of operations. Okay, moving on to number 14, we have 17 minus 2 to the 5th power divided by 4 plus 6. In this problem, again, we're starting over with our order of operations. We're starting over with the whole PEMDAS. Okay, I'm starting at the top. We always start at the top and work our way down. Do we have any parentheses showing us to do something inside those parentheses first? And I can see that there's no parentheses. So we're kind of going to check that off and we're going to go down to E for exponents. Are there any exponent portions of this that we need to do? And I can see right away that we do. We have this 2 to the 5th power. Now remember that powers mean how many times a number is being multiplied by its own self. So that means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which is 32. And you could type that into your calculator, 2 raised to the 5th power. But I'm going to bring down just this portion that I highlighted. I'm going to change 2 to the 5th to 32. And everything else is getting brought down unchanged because I was not allowed to use it left. So I'm bringing down plus 4, or divided by 4 and plus 6. Hey, I do not have any more exponents. I did that. Now I'm looking for any multiplication or division as I work from left to right. And I can see 17 minus 13. Nope, can't do that. I'm looking for multiplication or division. And I'm working left to right. Now I have 32 and 4, those two numbers. And I can see that between these two, again, I'm checking between every two sets of numbers that this is the piece that I'm allowed to do next because I'm working through left to right. So I'm bringing down 17. I'm bringing down the minus sign. Okay, everything that we haven't used yet. 32 divided by 4 is 8, and then bring down plus 6. Now this is a lot of times where maybe we didn't pay attention or maybe it wasn't really emphasized, but addition right here, 8 plus 6, we do not do that first. It is not more special than the subtraction. It again is whatever comes first from left to right. So from left to right as we're working, 17 minus 8 is supposed to get done first. That would be applying the correct order of operations. 17 minus 8 is 9. And then we bring down that plus 6. And now we're allowed to add those two numbers together. And 9 plus 6 is 15. Okay, moving on with number 15. I'm still working through my PEMDAS. Order of operations. I'm going to look through number 15. It reads 24 minus 4 squared times 3 plus 15. I'm looking to see if I have any parentheses. I do not, but I checked for it, so I'm going to cross that off my list. Next, I'm checking to see if I have any exponents, and I do attach to this 4 right here where it's highlighted. That's the only piece that I'm going to do at this point. Everything else will get brought down because I have not used it yet. So I have 24 minus 4 squared, that's 4 times 4, which is 16, and then we're bringing down times 3 and plus 15. Okay, moving on. So I've done exponents. Now I'm looking for any multiplication or division as I move from left to right. So between 24 and 16, that's subtraction. I'm not going to do that. And then I'm checking between 16 and 3 next, right here. And I have multiplication. So that's the section I get to do now. So we're going to bring down 24. We can't use it yet. Minus 16 times 3, which is 48. And bring down that plus 15. Now again, it really makes our brains, because the way we were taught in the past, we really feel like we should be able to do 48 plus 15 first and then subtract that from 24 because we think that addition's supposed to go first, but it's not. Okay, train your brain. Addition or subtraction, whichever comes first as we work from left to right. And that would be 24 minus 48. And 24 minus 48 is a negative 24. And then we bring down that plus 15. And now we get to do this section. Negative 24 plus 15 is negative 9. All right, beautiful. Okay, 16. Now we're still working through our PEMDAS. I'm going to write it down again so we can check it off our list as we work it through. Now it is a fraction. Now I don't think this is too troublesome. What we do is we look at the numerator and we do what comes first there, and then we'll do the first step in the denominator. We kind of work them separately. And fractions really mean to divide. So it's just going to be the very last step we do. When we get the numerator down to one number and then get the denominator down to one number, we will divide them at the very end. So working this through my PEMDAS, and I'm just looking at the numerator right now, I'm looking, do I have parentheses? And I do. So that means do what's inside the parentheses first, and what can be done inside the parentheses first. So here's my parentheses. I'm looking inside them, and what needs to be done first is those exponents that are inside there, 2 squared. So I'm going to rewrite the numerator as 7 minus 4. That's 2 squared. I'm going to keep the parentheses for now because I'm not done with them, plus 15. And then I'm going to put my fraction bar back underneath. Now I'm kind of looking at this denominator with fresh eyes, and I'm working PEMDAS for the denominator. In the denominator, do I have parentheses? No. So now I move on. Do I have exponents? No. So move on. Do I have any multiplication or division as I move left to right? Bam, between 2 and 5. So 2 times 5 is 10. So we're going to rewrite the denominator as negative 14 plus 10. That was the first correct step in the denominator. Now moving back to the numerator, I still have parentheses. I'm not done all the way yet. So what I need to do is finish doing what's inside these parentheses. 7 minus 4. What is 7 minus 4? It is 3. So we're going to bring 3. Now notice I have nothing on the outside as an exponent, nothing being multiplied in front, so I can get rid of the parentheses. And now I'm going to put plus 17. Okay, so I finished my parentheses at this point, and I finished my exponents. Now back to looking to see now what's the next step in the denominator. I only have 2 terms left in the denominator, so I can put those together. What is negative 14 plus 10? That would be negative 4. Okay, now I've got the denominator down to one number, but before I can divide, I need to get the numerator down to one number. So at this point, I just have 2 terms left. I'm going to do 3 plus 17, which equals 20, and divide that now by negative 4. See, now that there is one number in the numerator, one number in the denominator, that shows me I'm ready to divide, and that comes out to negative 5. Okay, on number 17, I have 8 minus 5 in parentheses being raised to the 3rd power minus the absolute value of 5 squared minus 4 cubed and then divided by 3. So working this through, do I have parentheses or other grouping symbols? And I do. Remember, we're doing what goes inside of those. We're looking inside of those grouping symbols to do what needs to be done inside of there first, and then we work our way outwards. So here, in my first set of grouping symbols, I have 8 minus 5. I can do that. But then see how that's finished? I have a minus sign here and I have another set of grouping symbols. That's telling me that I can look inside of my absolute value bars, which are grouping symbols, and do what's inside of there as well. Okay, they don't interconnect at this point, so we are fine. So we can do the 5 squared and the 4 cubed when we're rewriting this problem. So I'm going to leave my parentheses on for now because I have this exponent outside of them. 8 minus 5 is 3, and that still has the cubed on the outside. Minus, I've got my absolute value bar, but I have highlighted 5 squared. 5 times 5 is 25, minus 4 cubed, which is 4 times 4, which is 16, times 4 again, which is 64. Close absolute value bars, and then do divided by 3. All right, now I'm looking I'm not done with my grouping symbols yet or my exponents. So what can I do next? I'm looking from left to right. This is kind of standing alone for now. It has exponents. I can do this piece, but I also need to do what is inside the absolute value bars, get it down to one number before I can pull it out of the absolute value bars. So what is 3 cubed? 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, minus. Okay, well, what is 25 minus 64? It is negative 39, close it, and then divided by 3. I'm almost done with these grouping symbols, okay? So my grouping symbols, I get to take the absolute value of negative 39 right here. Change color. We're going to take the absolute value of negative 39. Now what happens is it's going to come out of the absolute value bars and it's going to be positive 39. But then outside of it, it's going to get multiplied by negative 1, by negative sign. So it's going to be back to being negative. So we have 27 minus 39, and then that's divided by 3. So that's the point we're on right now. And again, remember, we've done parentheses, we've done exponents. Now we're on to multiplication and division as we work from left to right. So checking between two sets. Can I do 27 minus 39? Is that multiplication or division? Nope, so we can't do that piece yet. We're going to do 39 divided by 3 before we do anything else. So we're bringing down 27 minus 39 divided by 3. Okay, this piece right here was 13. So our last step, now we can do 27 minus 13, which is equal to 14. Okay, just lots of fun. Always remembering to follow PEMDAS and do that order of operations. And again, PEMDAS, P does not just stand for parentheses, it's any kind of grouping symbol, which again, absolute value is included in that. So on 18, I have the absolute value of negative 7 squared plus 3 squared times 4. Absolute value is closed up there, plus 18 divided by 2 times 5. So I need to look inside those absolute value bars first because they're a form of parentheses of grouping symbols, and I'm looking inside to see what I can do in here. Well, I can do the negative 7 squared and the 3 squared at this point. I don't want to do any multiplication. I'm just doing things with exponents because that comes before any multiplication or division that I would be able to do. So when I bring this down, I've got absolute value of negative 49 plus 9 times 4, close it up, plus 18 divided by 2 times 5. Okay, now still looking inside my absolute value bars, I'm thinking, what can I do next? Looking inside of here. Between negative 49 and 9, we've got addition, and between 9 and 4, we've got multiplication. So that's the piece inside of here that we would do next. Okay, so coming down, we have absolute value of negative 49 plus 36 plus 18 divided by 2 times 5. Okay, now that I've got these down to two numbers, I can put them together with some addition. Okay, we're going to put these two numbers together. Negative 49 plus 36 is negative 13. So we have the absolute value of negative 13 plus 18 divided by 2 times 5. Okay, now what is the absolute value? We need to finish this off. What is the absolute value of negative 13? Well, it's going to come out as positive 13. And then we're going to bring plus 18 divided by 2 times 5 down. So we've done parentheses and exponents. Now whatever multiplication or division we have as we work from left to right. So between 13 and 18, that's addition. We can't do that next. But between 18 and 2, we have division. That came first as we moved from left to right. So we're going to do this piece next. So bring down 13 plus 18 divided by 2 is 9 times 5. Now because I said times, I've got to do 9 times 5 before I can do addition, because again, that comes down to multiplication and division before addition or subtraction. So we have 13 plus 45. That was our 9 times 5. And then last we get to add 13 and 45 together, which makes 58. Okay, number 19, we've got another big fraction again. But like before, we'll look at the numerator and work our order of operations there, and then we'll look at our denominator and do what comes first in order of operation in the denominator. We kind of work them separately till we have one number in each numerator and denominator, and then we will finish it up by dividing, because fractions mean division. So looking at the numerator, I do not have any parentheses in the numerator, but I have two sets of exponents. So we can do those operations first. 5 squared is 5 times 5, which gives us 25. Minus sign, 3 to the 4th power. 3 times itself 4 times is 81. Okay, then we're going to move on to our denominator. And my denominator is showing, okay, 2 sets of parentheses. So we're going to look inside those parentheses and do what comes first within the parentheses, which is exponents. I've got a 2 cubed and a 6 squared that I need to simplify. So 2 cubed is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. We have an 8 minus 5, and a times sign. And in my next set of parentheses, I have 6 squared, which is 36, and it's going to be divided by 9. In my numerator, okay, and now I'm just looking here at my numerator, I only have 2 numbers, and I'm subtraction. I'm allowed to do that at this point. It's the only operation there. 25 minus 81 is negative 56. Okay, over, we're not done with the denominator. We have a bit of simplifying to do here. Okay, in the denominator inside my parentheses still, we need to have some subtraction in the first. We have 8 minus 5 that needs to be taken care of. And in my second set, we need to do 36 divided by 9. So 8 minus 5 is 3. I do not need the parentheses anymore because I don't have anything acting on those parentheses. I'm going to put my times dot, and 36 divided by 9 is 4. Now we're still not ready to divide yet because my denominator still has 2 terms, even though my numerator has 1 number. So we're going to move on, and we are going to multiply 3 times 4 in the denominator before we divide. So 3 times 4 is 12, and we still have negative 56 in the numerator. Now negative 56 does not divide evenly by 12, so we would simplify that as an improper fraction, and I would say that would be in our calculator, if you want, will be negative 14 over 3, or you could write it as a mixed fraction, and that would be, let's see, negative 14 over 3 would be negative 4 2/3. Either way. Okay, number 20. Okay, number 20. I'm working my PEMDAS. My problem is negative absolute value of negative 9 minus 10 plus 12 squared divided by 6 times 3. All right, so I am looking, do I have any grouping symbols? And again, I have absolute value, which is grouping symbols, so I need to do what's inside of there first. And I'm going to rewrite that. Okay, I have negative absolute value. Negative 9 minus 10 is negative 19 plus 12 squared divided by 6 times 3. Okay, now I'm going to work on this inside the absolute value bars. I have negative 19. Now, I'm ready to pull it out because it's down to 1 number. When it comes out of here, it is negative 19, or positive 19, excuse me, but then it's going to get multiplied by that negative sign after it's made positive, and it's back to being negative 19 again. And we're bringing down plus 12 squared divided by 6 times 3. So we've taken care of our grouping symbols, our parentheses. Next, we're looking for any exponents that we have. And we have a 12 squared, so we'll do that piece next. We have negative 19 plus 12 squared is 12 times 12, which is 144, divided by 6 times 3. Okay, we've taken care of exponents. Now we're looking for any multiplication or division, whichever comes first as we move from left to right. So again, between negative 19 and 144, we have addition, so that's not the right step. Between 144 and 6, as I keep moving to the right, I have division. Okay, so I stop and I have to do this next. It came first as we move left to right. So I have negative 19 plus 144 divided by 6 is 24, and then times 3. Okay, I did division, but I know when I rewrote that, I said I times still. So I still have some multiplication. So I'm knowing that I cannot do negative 19 plus 24 still because I've got multiplication that takes place before any addition. So I need to do 24 times 3 as my next step. So we bring down that negative 19 again, and we're going to say plus 24 times 3 is 72. Okay, now we're down to those last two numbers, so now we can add them together. Negative 19 plus 72 is equal to 53. Okay, number 21, I have 20 squared divided by, and then I have these braces, 3 times 5 minus 9 squared plus 2. So notice I've got these really big grouping symbols out here. So, okay, that's kind of giving me a starting place, and I need to keep looking inside till I get to the parentheses, which are here, and I'm doing what comes inside there first. That's the 5 minus 9. Now, can we see that this 20 squared is completely separate? There's nothing like connecting them. We can also apply that as well at this point. So 20 squared is 20 times 20, which is 400. And I'm going to do divided by, and then I've got this brace, 3. Now I'm doing my parenthesis because I've got stuff acting on it still. I'm doing 5 minus 9, which is negative 4, and there's an exponent on the outside of it, plus 2, and then I'll close my brace. All right, so I'm still starting as inside as I could possibly be, and then spread myself outwards. So next, I'm still got this parenthesis here, and what should I do first? Should I times it by 3, or do I raise it to the second power? Well, timesing by 3 would be multiplication. Raising it to the second power, that's an exponent, and I know that exponents are more powerful in order of operations than multiplication. So that's the piece that I need to do next. So we're going to bring down 400 divided by 3, and then parentheses, what is negative 4 in parentheses squared? That means negative 4 times its own self, negative 4, and a negative times a negative here makes a positive. So we have positive 16 and then plus 2. Okay, so I still have these out braces here. So I'm still doing what comes inside of there, order of operations according to what's inside of there first. So I've done my exponents, now multiplication or division, what comes inside of here first. I can't do this outside one because I have to do everything in the grouping symbols first. So I'm going to bring down 400 divided by, okay, my brace here, 3 times 16 is 48. And then plus 2. See how I'm shrinking down what's inside of these braces? I've got it down to 2 numbers. Okay, so now what I'm doing, I'm looking inside these braces, and all I have left is 48 plus 2. 48 plus 2 is 50. So I have 400 divided by 50. And I dropped the braces because I'm done doing everything that was inside of there. Okay, now I'm going to divide 400 divided by 50, which is equal to 8. So fun to make something as big and messy as what we started with up here and get a nice, neat little answer. It's very satisfying. Okay, number 22. Okay, we got this fraction. I'm going to start by looking at the numerator. Notice I've got brackets this time. So I'm looking, and I have to do what's inside the brackets and then look for my next smallest grouping symbol, which would be parentheses. And looking inside these parentheses to what needs to be done first, which would be exponents, squaring that 4. That is the first piece. We've got to kind of narrow it down, a little treasure hunt, so to speak. So I'm going to leave 12, bracket, 30. Again, I just rewrite everything exactly as it was that I haven't used. Parenthesis 9 plus 4 times 4 is 16, and close it up. And this is over. Now I'm checking the denominator, and I see that I've got 2 different types of grouping symbols. I've got absolute value, so I'm going to do what's inside of here for both of these first. So I've got the absolute value of 10. It's already positive, and it comes out positive. Now notice I've got this minus sign that's has nothing to do with the absolute value, so I write it down, and then the absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6. Or we could think of it like our last ones. It came out positive and then got multiplied by negative. So I do have some subtraction there still. Okay, our next piece. Okay, I'm back to my numerator. Okay, back here. and I've got brackets, and I'm looking inside the brackets, to my next grouping, which is parentheses. I have to do what's inside of here next. That's the first piece. So copy everything back down, 12 bracket 30 minus, what is 9 plus 16? It's 25. And now I'm done with those parentheses because I've done everything inside of them. So I can close that bracket, and if this is over, and what is the denominator simplifying to? 10 minus 6. 10 minus 6 is 4. So we've kind of done our job with the denominator so far. We've gotten it down to one number, but we can't divide anything top by bottom until we get the numerator, the top, down to one number as well. So we're looking what needs to be done in the numerator. We're doing what comes inside these brackets, and it's just some subtraction at this point. So I've got 12. Brackets are like parentheses. They mean multiplication when the number's touching it on the outside. 30 minus 25 is 5. And this is all over 4. We're almost ready to divide. We need to finish this off, get this down to one number. And 12 and then 5 in brackets means some multiplication, just like parentheses does. 12 times 5 is 60. It's being divided by 4. And 60 divided by 4. Now we're ready to divide, see, because we have one number over one number. This equals 15. Okay, we are down to our last two examples. I've got 84 divided by 12 plus 5 minus 7 squared in parentheses minus 72 divided by 6 times 12. So do I have parentheses? Yes, we do. So we have parentheses here, and looking inside these parentheses, we're going to do what comes first inside of there, which is the 7 squared. So we're going to rewrite this problem as 84 over 12 plus parentheses 5 minus 7 squared is 49. Use your calculator if you're not sure. Minus 72 divided by 6 times 2. We're still not done with these parentheses. We're going to finish doing what is inside of there, which is saying to do 5 minus 49. So I have 84 over 12 plus 5 minus 49 is negative 44 minus 72 divided by 6 times 2. Okay, we've gotten rid of parentheses, our grouping symbols, and our exponents. We need to do multiplication or division, whichever comes first as we move from left to right. Well, 84 over 12, that's my furthest left that we would start. That's division. I need to divide that first. And 84 divided by 12 is 7. Okay, so I have 7. Plus negative 44 is just minus 44 minus 72 divided by 6 times 2. Okay, so I'm keeping on going here. I'm looking for any multiplication or division still as I work from left to right. So I'm looking, and between 7 minus 44, that's subtraction. I got to move on. Between negative 44 and 72, that is also subtraction. I need to move on. 72 divided by 6, that's division. That's what I need to do next. So 72 divided by 6 is 12. So let's rewrite this problem. I have 7 minus 44 minus 12 times 2. Okay, I said times, so I know that has to be done before again, multiplication has to be done before any addition or subtraction. So I have to do the 12 times 2 next. So we have 7 minus 44 minus 24. Okay, working from left to right, that means that next we would do 7 minus 44. So 7 minus 44 is negative 37, and yes, I used my calculator just to double check that I did it right. Now subtract 24 and we get negative 61, and we're done. Okay, one last example. We've got another fraction here, and let's look at our numerator first. I've got negative and then 8 minus 11 closed up, and then it's cubed minus 3 times the absolute value of negative 14. So we've got some grouping symbols that we need to look inside those parentheses, and we're going to do that subtraction first. And then I've also got the absolute value of negative 14. Those are also grouping symbols, and I can take its absolute value at this point. So we've got negative, and then 8 minus 11 is negative 3, and that's being cubed. Minus 3, the absolute value of negative 14 is 14. And then what I do here, because I've taken the absolute value, is I'm changing it to parentheses. Just this negative 3 that was touching those bars means that these two values do need to be negative. It just meant that I had to take the absolute value first. Okay, so my numerators, we did our first steps there. Now we're going to look at our denominator. And in the denominator, I do not have any parentheses, so I check for exponents, and I have 2 to the 4th power. 2 to the 4th power is 16, and I bring down that minus 7. Okay, my numerator again. Okay, looking at my numerator, I still have some parentheses here, and what's acting on those parentheses is that exponent, that cubed. So we're going to do that piece next. I also have parentheses here, which is telling me I can multiply 3 and 14. So I have this minus sign on the outside is separate from what's going on in parentheses. So I have minus, and then I have negative 3 cubed, which is negative 27. And then I'm going to subtract 3 times 14, which is 42. Okay, this is all over. Now 16 minus 7. I'm allowed to subtract these two numbers next, because those are the only two numbers left. 16 minus 7 is 9. Okay, what do I have going on in my numerator? I need to work these down to one number. I've got, from left to right, I've got no multiplication or division here except for this. This is technically multiplication. I have negative 1 times negative 27, which becomes positive 27. And then minus 42. This is divided by 9. So what is 27 minus 42? Well, that is negative 15, and that's over 9. Okay, this does not divide evenly, so I would simplify it to negative 5/3. All right, this is our order of operations. It was a good time. Hopefully you just work it through your PEMDAS, looking for parentheses or other grouping symbols, doing what comes inside of them, and working your way outwards. Check for exponents, and then multiplication and division, whatever comes first as you move from left to right. One's not more special. It's a first come, first serve basis. Same thing for addition and subtraction. Work from left to right, whichever one comes first. Enjoy.